Hello everyone, and welcome to the To Explore Wellness channel. I'm Amy. I'm a nutrition coach who has successfully lost and maintained that loss of 40 pounds. I'm here to help you do the same. Whether it's weight loss, eating healthier, maintaining that weight loss, I'm here to show you how you can do it sustainably and successfully while still eating all your favorite foods. In this video, I'm gonna go over 10 high protein staples that I always have on hand in my house. These are great because not only are they higher in protein, but they are lower in calorie and nutritious items. I'm rarely without them in my home, and they can be used in a wide variety of recipes. And you'll definitely want to see the last one because it's probably going to surprise you. So let's go ahead and get started with our first one. First protein powerhouse is going to be Greek yogurt. Now, Greek yogurt is superior in my opinion because it is higher in protein than your typical yogurt. It's also got calcium and probiotics. So it's really good for, your bones and your gut health. And obviously the protein helps with muscle building and satiety. Now it's up to you if you want to do the low fat, non-fat, 2%. Sometimes I get 1%. Typically always have the plain as well as the vanilla. And these are great for yogurt bowls. Like if you just want to do a yogurt bowl, you can add it to smoothies. I make a lot of desserts with them, frozen dessert. If you have a creamy, you can add it to your ice cream. The plain, I always make dressings. I always make dips. I add it to like my chicken salad. I add it to other savory recipes. It's really so versatile. So that's why I always like to have both on hand. Just for example, they both have around like 90 to 100 calories, again, depending on the fat content, 16 to 17 grams of protein. Again, protein powerhouse per serving, you eat 2 servings, bam, you've got 32 grams of protein there. You can also go for something that is like single serve. This one's not Greek yogurt, so it's only 5 grams of protein, but it is only 70 calories. But honestly, this gives you way better bang for your buck because for 20 calories, you get like 12 more grams of protein. I'll also link a few of my recipes in the description so that if you're not sure how to use a Greek yogurt, you have a starting point. I also wanted to make sure I added to watch out for the sugar content in your yogurts if you're getting a vanilla or even a fruit one. Some of the fruit ones actually have quite a bit of added sugar to it. So just keep that in mind. A lot of the sugars in the vanilla, like sugar will occur naturally in yogurts. This particular one doesn't have any added sugar. It is sweetened with stevia. So just kind of keep that in mind. Always read your nutritional labels to make sure you're getting something that meets your own needs. Next up is yogurt's cousin, cottage cheese. Now, I know cottage cheese, like people have a love or hate relationship with it. I love it. I'll eat a cottage cheese bowl for breakfast with either some honey on top and berries or a savory version with everything but the bagel seasoning with some veggies on the side. I know for some people, it's just, I get maybe the texture, but seriously, if you blend this up, so my 2-ingredient cheesecake, which, my recipe went viral, my pumpkin 2-ingredient cheesecake. If you haven't seen that, watch it. But if you blend this up with some protein powder, literally tastes like cheesecake. It's so good. You can also blend this up and add it to sauces. So for example, if you're making a pasta, you can blend this up with your tomato sauce or even make an Alfredo sauce for it. And it just kind of blends seamlessly into the meal. You won't taste it at all. So even if you deem yourself a cottage cheese hater, there are so many ways to hide the fact that you're eating the cottage cheese. Similarly to the Greek yogurt, it's around, so this is a 2%. Obviously, if you get a non-fat or 1%, it'll be a little less calories, but it is 100 calories for about 13 grams of protein. So sort of similar to your Greek yogurt. Yeah, now I happen to get the just Aldi because I shopped at Aldi, but I know like Good Culture is a really high quality brand as well. Some of them with the sweet recipes can end up being a little bit salty. So do watch the sodium on these if you do plan to make a sweet recipe with it, because I've had some people kind of tell me like, oh, this recipe sucks. And I'm like, it's your cottage cheese. Because trust me, when I eat it, it's darn good. But anyway, this is a great option to have on hand for sweet and savory recipes. Next up are eggs and egg whites. Now, I always have both on hand because the yolk does contain lots of nutrients as well as healthy fats. But to help keep your recipes a little more low calorie, egg whites are where it's at. So I always have both around. And typically, like if I'm making eggs, I will use 1 or 2 regular eggs and then mix in the egg whites again for that added protein boost while keeping the calories a lot lower. In a lot of baking recipes, you can put in egg whites. Again, you can do like 1 egg and then replace with 50 grams of egg whites. So 50 grams of egg whites is about equivalent to an egg. Not all recipes may work that way if like you need to beat the yolks and stuff, obviously. These are a great high protein option. 1 egg is roughly 7 grams of protein and 70 calories, whereas egg white for 3 tablespoons, which is roughly about the same weight as an egg, you get 5 grams of protein, but only 25 calories. So you get roughly the same amount of protein, but less than half the calories. So that's why it's kind of nice to have both around. Before we get into the next one, if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more healthy tips and tricks or delicious recipes for weight loss and maintenance. So next is no secret, it is protein powder. So protein powder, always in my house. I use this for all kinds of stuff. I use it for breakfast, for baking, smoothies, all that kind of good stuff. I typically have actually a few different brands on hand used for different things. One of my go-tos is the Legion. I love their flavors. Like this one, peanut butter cup. They also have a coconut, which is amazing. They make whey and casein. They are separate, they're not a blend. I like the whey for things because it gets really creamy. It's really good in smoothies. And I actually also use the unflavored whey protein powder to add to soups and sauces and other savory recipes. So honestly, if you don't have an unflavored whey protein, highly recommend grabbing one. And I will leave the link in the description for all of these protein powders with discount codes so you can kind of determine which one you want to try out if you haven't tried them out yet. They also make a casein blend, which actually casein I make my mug cakes with. I did a protein powder mug cake test a while back and it actually gave the best result. Second best result was a whey casein blend. For that, I really like Devotion Nutrition. They have some really nice flavors. Blueberry and angel food cake are the ones I have now. I know they also have like a brownie batter. They have like a buttery one, which would be good for like pancakes and things like that. The whey casein blend is really also good for baking. It mixes really well. So if you're doing like drizzles and frostings, this is going to be your best bet for that type of stuff. Since Devotion Nutrition doesn't have like a plain vanilla or plain chocolate, I do get a Quest for my like kind of just plain things when I need something that's really neutral. Again, is also really great for really every recipe. It bakes well, it mixes well. So the whey casein blend, if you had to choose one protein powder, I would probably go for the blend. Now, obviously there's also plant-based. Plant-based is great if you are vegan or if you have a dairy allergy or intolerance. I've just personally haven't had a plant protein that I've loved. I haven't tried that many. I also, in the protein test, it didn't mix or bake very well either. So unless you have to go for a plant protein, I would kind of go for one of these. You can find a ton of recipes for protein powders, like non-traditional, like non-just shake recipes on my channel. So make sure to check those recipes out because, you know, there are so many different things that you can do with this. And they're low in calories, right? So calories, it's like 120 grams of protein, 120 calories for like 25 grams of protein. And that's pretty standard. This one is 110 calorie for 20 grams of protein. So this one's a little bit higher in protein to calorie ratio. But again, kind of different needs, you know, these work for. So yes, protein powders are a must in my opinion for keeping that protein up. It's a really great supplement. And I almost forgot to add to that powdered peanut butter. I consider this a protein powder, to be honest. It's just ground peanuts. I don't know the exact process, but I know that it reduces the fat, right? Because that's the oil in the peanut butters. So you can get just ground up peanuts and it works pretty versatilely. I find it fairly similar to the whey casein blend in terms of mixing into recipes. So you can make a low calorie peanut butter with this. You can add it to baked goods, things like that, make a drizzle. So powdered peanut butter, PB2, I'll leave a link for it as well in the description so that you can check that out if you don't already have one. Okay, next are milks and protein shakes. I always opt for a low-fat milk. Really the best macro-friendly brand is going to be Milk 50. They have 50 calories in their milk, so it's significantly less than regular milk. Now this is a 1%, so it does have 110 calories, but it has 9 grams of protein. I love using these for, my creamy recipes. It helps me boost the protein in my cereals. Like for example, I will do like a protein cereal usually, and then I'll do like half shake, half milk, just because I don't want my cereal to be too sweet. So that's why I like to add the milk. These are always staples to have on hand. You can again add this to smoothies. This you can add to like soups and sauces and things like that. And if you aren't a dairy person, right? My other favorite milk is the flax with protein. If you do almond milk or oat milk, those really don't have any protein in it. You can get them fortified with protein. So that's why I like this one, but it still keeps the calories really low. Like this is only 50 calories for 5 grams of protein. So really you can drink double the amount of this for the same macros of this. Now my favorite in terms of ingredients and taste are going to be the Oikos. Am I saying that right? I should know how to pronounce that. And Fairlife is also really good. Some of the other ones have a lot of unnecessary ingredients in them. These are, pretty simple, so a solid choice. All right, next up are our lean proteins. Having them be leaner obviously helps to keep the calories lower. Things that are higher in fat drives up the calories significantly because protein is 4 calories per gram, whereas fat is 9 calories per gram. So if you get, for example, 20% lean ground meat, it's going to be quite a bit higher in calories than if you're getting a 96 or 93 lean protein. Now, I always opt for, I don't have ground meat as an example here, but when I get ground meat, I do always opt for 93 or 96%. Those are really going to help you keep your calories a lot lower. Obviously, other great options are going to be chicken. I usually have some like frozen, so I always have it on hand. Seafood is also a really great low calorie option. Typically, white fishes are lower calorie than like a salmon. Salmon is really high in protein and a lot of nutrients, but just because of the fat content, it does tend to be higher in calories, but also a really great option. So I get mine from Sizzlefish. They have their scallops impressed me so much. They were so good. Shrimp is another great one. Obviously turkey's great as well. You can get a ton of different cuts of chicken breast as well as beef. Just again, especially with the beef, because that is typically higher in fat, and pork, just kind of look at the fat ratio to ensure that you have a balanced macros to fit your own needs. I don't think this needs to be said, but these are just great to have on hand for your typical dinner recipes. If you do meal prep, date night recipes, these are just great to have on hand. Now, going along with that, we have our, pre-prepped proteins. These are again things that I typically will always have on hand, especially if I need a quick and easy meal. If I don't have some of those other proteins to make, sandwich meat is really handy to have. You can make a snack plate, you can make roll-ups, you can make sandwiches. I always have it when I need a quick and easy lunch. Same goes with the canned chicken. And then canned tuna is also great lean protein. You can make patties with them. You can make salads with them, all that good stuff. I also always have turkey pepperoni when that pizza craving hits and you just need some pizza and it's better to make it home. So these actually have great macros. It's 80 calories for 9 grams of protein. To be honest, kind of similar to a protein bar. If you ate 2 protein bars that are 180 calories and 18 grams of protein, not far off. And it is almost half the amount of calories of regular protein. I also have a way that you can make this into a chip snack. So I will also link that in the description so that you can have a crunchy snack on hand that doesn't break the calorie bank. I also really love having just some prepped sausages or meatballs. I usually get Gilbert's or Amy Lou's. There's a couple other brands out there that have pretty good macros. I know at Aldi, there's a couple that have really good macros. But again, just look at the ingredients. These are a little bit higher in fat than you would get with your typical chicken breast or something like that. For a quick and easy meal in a pinch, they're a pretty good go-to. So these have 130 calories, a link, 13 grams of protein. So you get roughly 26 grams of protein for 260 calories. I always just do it with a side of veggies usually. Sometimes I'll put it in pastas and things like that. It's kind of nice to just have this stuff on hand when you need something that's a little bit quicker, that you don't want to just like wait and cook the meat. Next up is a super popular one, and that is cheese. I always have cheese on hand. Obviously, it's great for a variety of things. You know, there are cheeses that are kind of more macro-friendly than other cheeses. You know, things like Camembert or Brie cheese are typically really high in fat, and they're not so macro-friendly. So my cheese suggestions would be feta. You can also get a lower fat feta. So this is 70 calories for 6 grams of protein. So it's overall pretty macro-friendly. It's great. You can add it to eggs. You can add it to salads. You can add it to dinners. Parmesan is also really macro-friendly. Per 20 calories, you get 2 grams of protein. For 100 calories, you get 10 grams of protein. You can obviously also get low fat, so like these light cheese sticks. These are 50 calories for 6 grams of protein. Now these aren't super high in protein. They're 2 grams of protein, but they're only 25 calories. And I like these in place of like a mayo on a sandwich or something like that. So these are typically, or again, in place of like a creamy cheese, if I'm doing like a snack plate charcuterie kind of thing, you get that creaminess, but they're more macro friendly than like cream cheese. I'm curious, tell me what your favorite cheese is. Mine is Brie, but again, not so macro friendly. It's something that I'll have around the holidays, you know, like parties and stuff, but I very rarely will buy it at home because it's dangerous. Here are some of my top protein snacks. Now, when you're on the go and you don't have time to prep something, or you need something crunchy that you can grab. So starting off with some protein bars. My personal favorites are Built and then Fulfill, which I need to get a refill on, just because I think their macros are really good. They're a little lower in calories. Like the bars that are 200 don't really fit my macros very well. So I opt for ones that are around 150 calories a piece. Bear Bells are also really popular. I've had a few that were really good. Oh, this is from Spain, so it's all in, not English. So give me a second. 16 grams of protein, 200 calories. So they are a little bit more caloric, but I know these are really popular. And actually stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications, because I'm actually going to be doing an ultimate protein bar taste test where I taste test like, I don't know, I think it's like 40 different bars and go over all the macros and ingredients and all that stuff and the taste, so that you don't have to go through trying a bunch of different bars to find ones that are actually good. Also, meat sticks. Again, you can look at the ingredients, make sure they're really simple. I like Paleo Valley. So these are a really great macro-friendly snack. Edamame, crunchy edamame beans, and edamame in general is such a great protein. They're obviously really good for you because it's, you know, a vegetable, but these are 100 calories for 11 grams of protein. So it's kind of like a small protein bar. These are great to snack on, or even for like a salad topper or things like that. I often use it for. So now for the chips. First, let's start with the Crisp Power pretzels. These are so macro friendly. So the whole bag is 210 calories for 27 grams of protein. I usually do half, 120 calories, 15 grams of protein. So again, like very comparable to a protein bar. And you can pair it with a dip. I usually do it like on the side with lunch, like if I don't have enough like sandwich meat or something like that. So I have something crunchy with my sandwich. But these are so good. They come in a few different flavors. Again, I will link all of this down at the bottom, so make sure to check out that link. Quest protein chips, they have a ton of different flavors. Quest also makes cookies and things like that. To be honest, I've never found any protein like cookie or brownie that I thought was actually that good and that macro friendly. I prefer to make my own when it comes to that stuff, but they have them if you want them. Their chips are usually around 140 calories and 19 grams of protein. So really great macros on these. Again, when you want a crunchy snack, something easy to grab. These Smarter Puffs are really good. These are super macro friendly. This whole bag is 207 calories and 15 grams of protein. These are vegan, which a lot of these are not vegan, especially these. These are definitely not vegan. So if you haven't tried the wild protein chips, they are made up of chicken breasts and egg whites and bone broth. They are high in protein. They have pretty minimal ingredients. They are 160 calories for 10 grams of protein, so not quite as macro friendly. But if you're someone that like really prefers like clean ingredients, this is going to be the cleanest option, and they're really, really tasty. What's your favorite protein snack? I eat all of these often, but tell me what yours is. I'm curious, is there something I missed? I would love to try it myself. Before I get to the last one, I wanted to do a bonus, which is going to be bone broth. Bone broth is a great high protein addition to have on hand because it is very gut friendly. It has collagen and it is pretty much all protein. 80 calories for 19 grams of protein. It's insanely macro friendly. So I add these to soups. You can make a hot chocolate with them. If I haven't already posted the recipe, I'm gonna post one, so check that out. This brand also comes with a few different flavors. Like this is turmeric ginger bone broth. You can also say like cook your rice in this, things like that, just as an added bonus to like help boost your protein. The last one that I told you might surprise you is pasta. Now, pasta is something that I feel like people always love to eat, but regular pasta, not so macro friendly, not so blood sugar friendly. So you can have your pasta and still hit your goals. There are a bunch of different protein pastas on the market these days. There's a lot that are made with chickpeas like Banza, Kaizen made with lupini beans. Personally, my favorite brand is Explore Cuisine because their macros are unbeatable. They make edamame pastas. They also have a black bean. They do lentil. So they're also really high in fiber as opposed to, you know, your typical pasta. It doesn't have fiber in it. This one's actually my favorite. I always have this on hand. And honestly, I usually have like 10 of these in my pantry. I'm just running low right now. The macros on this for per serving, which is 2 ounces dry, it is 180 calories and 24 grams of protein. So that is insanely macro friendly. For like regular pasta, I think with 180 calories, you get like 5 grams of protein, 6. So it's really significant. Now, not all of their pastas have that. This one is 190 and 11 grams of protein. So this is more similar to like those chickpea pastas on the market. So that's why I really like the Explore Cuisine, because they do have options that are quite a bit higher in protein than a lot of the other ones on the market there. The black bean one is very similar. It's high in protein. It's 25 with 180 calories. So these are insanely macro friendly. If you're vegan, I know a lot of these options were not vegan, but these are a great vegan option or vegetarian option. And fiber, 11 grams of fiber, 14 grams of fiber. So hit your fiber goals and your protein goals with these. I really hope you found this video helpful. I know that when I was starting out in my journey, I really wasn't sure how to hit my protein goals. I found it really difficult. If you're struggling too, just remember it takes a lot of practice, it takes time, it takes educating yourself. Before I educated myself, I felt super lost when it came to navigating my journey. I honestly didn't even know that I was supposed to be eating as much protein as I should be eating. If you're kind of struggling on your journey, just know that you can get there too. If you need help, I do one-on-one coaching as well as small group coaching. If you're looking for that extra support, you can find the link in the description so that you can learn more about how I can help you reach your goals. I thank you all for being here today. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it, please make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you don't miss anything. I'll be sharing loads of macro-friendly high protein recipes as well as more health and weight loss tips. So thank you for being here and see you next time.